see so many friendly faces. I'm so excited that you're all here to join me this afternoon for the World at Your Fingertips session at the Income Property Expo. Is everybody having a great time at the Expo? Fantastic. It's one of my favorites, Pasadena. It's so central to all the counties, right? A lot of great vendors out there. We've got a chance to meet with a lot of you. So if you haven't had a chance to stop by after this, we're right next door at the booth. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. A little background about myself and my business partner, Rose Jones. Rose, I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I'm not going to say how many exactly. I started off in heavy engineering construction with Floor Daniel, working on multi-billion-dollar international projects. I spent time with Shea Homes building master plan communities all over the United States. Went on to the financial sector for a handful of years and learned everything there is to know about the financial industry, which at that time was exciting and turbulent, right? Thank you. Welcome everybody, welcome. So having spent some time with Shea Homes, I was in Colorado, I came back to California, and that's when I started up my company in the early 2000s. Reynolds Realty Advisors. We are a premier property management company. Rose is in the industry. She's been in the industry for over 20 years. She's a Chief Operations Officer, and we're very excited to be here today. We also own a Remax Platinum Properties, and we continue to interact globally with agents and buyers. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background about myself. I've traveled all over the world. I've had the good fortune of getting to understand different countries, cultures, and industry. And with that information, I've been able to culminate a presentation. Then over the next 25 minutes, I hope to cascade a great deal of information that you can take away with you and be very successful over the coming years. So what we're going to cover today are which countries are going to dominate the U.S. market in the United States in 2030. We're going to talk about how that's going to affect you here locally in California. Should you be buying, holding, or selling? Are you ready to take your properties to the next level in this current market trend? Are you able to do that yourself or with your current management company? Right? We're going to talk about, we're going to have some time for questions and answers, and we're going to also do a raffle. For those of you who are just coming in, and those of you already seated, if you have a business card and want to drop your card in here, we're going to be doing a raffle at the end of the session. Now, we all have goals. We have personal goals, financial goals, we have real estate related goals. And it's critical that we understand the trends and how those are going to affect us so that we can better position ourselves to be successful and achieve those goals. And that's exactly what we're going to be covering with a focus on the real estate industry. So what are those trends and how do they affect us locally? Well, we have an aging population. 2030, we're going to have the largest population of individuals over 80 than ever before. And what does that mean? We're going to have the boomers that are going to be downsizing, right-sizing their properties. Those of you who are out there investing, you're trying to figure out what are we going to do? What's my niche going to be in the coming years? Well, possibly it's flipping, right? Are those properties really ready? Do they have the look and the feel for the current generations coming into the market and going to be investing? Possibly not. Who's that going to be? Well, that's going to be the millennials. We're all hoping they leave home. I don't know about you, but I've got teenagers in 20. They need to go, right? It's time to get out there. So we're hoping to get those properties ready, right? So consider flipping. If you're a real estate agent, broker, or whatnot, consider focusing on both the millennial generations as well as the boomers. That's going to be a big niche in the coming years, right? The international buyers will be dominating the market in 2030. We're going to talk about which countries, and we're going to talk about why and how that affects you. There are 4 key ingredients for long-term growth: a large population, a young, productive citizens. Those are citizens at their peak earning potential. when they're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and their peak earning potential, right? We're going to talk about the growth of the middle class and a strong economy, a supportive environment for growth. Those are the 4 key fundamentals that create a strong buying power in any given country. Then number 1, who's the largest population? Let's break it down. It's China, right? China. We've got United States, significantly lower. The next segment of countries, those are our emerging markets. We want to keep our eye on Indonesia, Bangladesh, Thailand, right? Those countries are going to be emerging in the coming years based on those variables we talked about earlier. So strong, productive citizens, right? It's based on a large population at their peak earning potential. So if we break it down by country to understand what the strength of their buying power, it's really where the size of the population is. In China, currently, the largest population is at their peak earning potential, and the future generations are quite a bit smaller, which means that in China, in the future years, is actually going to have a smaller buying power than they do today, not only locally, but globally. In Japan, similar distribution. Currently have the largest buying power in the current population. The future generations are going to have a smaller buying power because of the size. However, if we take a look at India, that's the actually inverse situation. The current generation population is smaller than future generations. So as they hit their peak earning potential, they're going to be a dominant force locally, globally, and here in the United States. Indonesia, in some areas, doesn't seem much larger in the future generations. However, when we take a look at the Philippines specifically are going to be a strong buying force in the future as those younger generations hit their peak earning potential. So let's take a look at the demographic window. Basically, the demographic window means it's the period of time in which the large population is in the working class, right? And basically, this tells us that once that happens, over the next 5 years, that country is going to have significant growth. The size of the middle class, the Asia-Pacific Rim, as you can see, in 2030 is expected to be 66%, or 3.23 billion people, right, consisted in the middle class. They will have a spending power of 32.6 trillion. Almost 60%, right? What does that mean to us here in California? In California, if we look at that distribution, the Asia-Pacific Rim will dominate the buying power over 60%, followed by Europe and North America and so on. So what that means to us as the United States is those of us who have assets, that's great. Our buying power in 2030 is probably going to diminish down to about 10 to 20% of those of us here. So the dynamics are going to change. Global buyers' motivation. Why are they buying here in the United States? We need to understand that. What's happening, right? Why the change? Relocating to the United States for work. Companies are more and more international. It's a smaller world. Technology offers more options, but still we have a lot of global companies and relocation happening. Children going to universities, secured investments, moving closer to family, portfolio diversity, vacation, and factors affecting the global sale activity. Well, it's secure investment, it's successful and affordable. Whether or not the economy is positive or negative at home or global is a big factor as to whether or not they're investing locally or abroad. Politics, right? Whether or not it's positive or negative locally or abroad is a big factor as well. Government incentive programs and real estate transparency. In the United States, we have one of the most sophisticated real estate industries than any other country. We have the people, the processes, and systems to create a sophisticated, transparent, and secure real estate transaction, right? 4 factors affecting the global sales activity: the real estate pricing trends, We generally have consistent trend upwards. We always have our dips. We always have our recovery. We have a general overall trending upwards. The mortgage standards and availability, funding is now quite a bit stronger and more stable, and we're having new programs that offer more availability of funds. Real estate inventory. Real estate inventory today is quite low, right? The real estate, the construction industry is growing at 6%, one of the strongest industries. We're bringing online 300,000 units year over year. We're not building fast enough, right? Because we get behind the curve, but that too is increasing, right? But the fact of supply and demand has a factor on availability, but it also has a factor on where people are buying and the pricing. Return on investment, of course. The uncertainty always generates delays during the election years or unrest. That's always going to have a factor. Housing affordability by country, we always feel like prices here in the United States are quite high, but when you stack that up against some of the other countries and what's going on abroad, it's very interesting to see we're still a very affordable country as it relates to housing. And it all gets back to supply and demand and how much space we have to still build in, right? Buying for universities, if you see the breakdown from China to India to Korea, Canada, and so forth, these are the different countries that are investing in real estate so that their children can come here and go to school in the United States. The impact of globalization overall is buyers and sellers are looking outside of their local markets. Investors are working with agents locally, and those of us who are tied to international real estate firms, we're working with those agents in the local markets as well as here so that we can ensure a seamless transaction for buyers who are looking to buy within the United States or abroad, which is a wonderful part of being a part of, affiliated with the RE/MAX organization.
Were the hooks here or the hooks need to come down?
So how do these global trends affect us locally?
Well, actually, there was another.
Well, what does that mean to you? For those of you currently in the market, of course, we're going to realize substantial appreciation during this time. We have a competitive advantage in that we're already in the market. Over the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to be able to increase our rental income year over year about 5 to 10%. Right? Now is the time to be making those changes. We'll be able to reduce the total cost because there's more service and product providers in the market than ever before. We can go back out, renegotiate those vendors to get the best products and services. In the case with Reynolds Realty Advisors, we were able to bring a lot of those services in-house and offer those to our customers at substantially reduced cost. So now's the time to look at the top end number as well as the bottom number. Portfolio optimization is another opportunity. There's a lot of value add options that you can provide and add on and layer on to your portfolio that are going to generate additional services for your tenants, making it an ideal place to live, making your property the property of choice, as well as saving money and providing additional revenue streams. Success in property management and achieving the goals you need in your property is multidimensional. You need to look at every aspect from marketing management, leasing management, tenant management, really focusing in on maintenance management, ensuring quality and efficiency. That's fundamental as that feeds into the cost and accounting management, financials. It's important to set up a budget in the beginning of the process, at the beginning of the year, so you understand what your expectations are of the property, where we can cut the money, where we need to perform, what we can invest, how much we can invest, so that that asset still performs month over month in achieving the NOI that you're projecting for by year end, right? Compliance, fair housing, ADA, and employment management, that's fundamental. Litigation mitigation is key. It's costly, it's time consuming, we want to avoid it. The only way to do that is have the right people, processes, and systems in place to avoid it, right? And so we have that down, we offer that service as well. And then there's the value add, and that's where we're going to break down next. Property optimization strategies. You've just acquired a property or you've had an asset in your portfolio for some time now. And maybe it's deferred maintenance, maybe it's been sitting there for a while, we want to take it to the next level. Let's break that down. How are we going to do that? Well, it's all about curb appeal. if somebody walks by that property, you want them to have an optimized property, they have to want to live there, right? It's all about how it looks. Is the paint sharp? Is there clear signage? Is the landscape overgrown or is it gone? Right? It needs to look good, it needs to look fresh, it needs to look current and relevant. Our building architecture is a big thing too. We need to take a look at how does that architecture look? Is it streamlined? Does it need to have a fresh facelift, right? Once we take care of that, it's making sure the property's clean and that when you get the signage and takes you to the manager's office, that the manager is friendly, competent, capable, that that person can show the unit and close the unit. That's when you're going to get that occupancy level up. Now let's talk about the units. Are those units sitting there and they need cleanup and they need to be ready? Or are they already ready and you know, shiny and new, right? If they're not, they need to be, because that's going to move that property, that's going to move the unit, get that property closed, get that occupancy up. Now it's time to increase the rents. You can increase the rents with your market surveys and assessments in year over year. And as I said, now's the time to do it. We need to be bringing those rents up about 5 to 10% in the next 3 to 5 years. Once you've achieved that property optimization level that property can achieve, then you start layering on the value-added services. And I'm going to break that down next. So with value-added services or strategies, it's starting with the building. Again, looking at the architecture. What about the roof, the fascia, the windows? Are they clean? Is it fresh? Is it relevant? Is it functional, right? Let's talk about the common area, the clubhouse. Can we open it up, make it a cool open air space? Can we add cyber cafe? Can we add some Wi-Fi? Can we add some couches where people can gather and socialize, right? Make the space relevant and current. You want to make it relevant to the tenant base who's going to be renting there, right? In the common areas, can we have built-in barbecue pits, a place for people to gather? Can we have tot lots and playgrounds and walking trails and dog parks and urban gardens for people to get together? They want to have a place that they can make feel home, and yet it's in your property, right? So consider those things that add a little touch that makes your property stand out beyond the others, because the competition will be increasing. We need to be thinking about who our tenant base is, and how do we keep them, how do we make it attractive, and how do we have the property of choice so that we can do the things we're going to be doing to add the additional revenue. Now that that clubhouse is kicking, can we rent it out? Can we have birthdays? Can we have parties? Can we have retirement get-togethers? Can we have weddings? Whatnot? Why have it sitting there empty, right? What can we host there? Can we host breakfasts or happy hours to get the sense of community? Various different services you can lay on. Consider concierge service, laundry, vending. We have some vendors in the back, we have some vendors out here. There's a lot of services, laundry. Right? Can we host job fairs, vocational sessions? Can we have vendors come in? Maybe have a vendor day, right? Where you have them sign an MSA so they have exclusivity to talk to your various different tenant base. Right? There's a lot of different services we can look at. And when it comes to property acquisition, for those of you who currently have properties and you're trying to find that deal, we all know that the cap rates are a little hard to find those great cap rates these days. Consider the 1031 exchange and maybe moving up to a larger property. It gives you more options and different things you can layer onto it. Also take a look at the unit base. I know a lot of our clients are taking a look at what are we going to be investing into this asset. Should we be investing the traditional $2,500 to $3,500 just to turn the unit over, or should we be putting in $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 to really take that unit to the next level, give us the additional write-offs? We're going to get the better return on our investment in maybe our own property today than in buying. That's a strategy, but be careful. You want to make sure your property is in the right location to bring up the rents to offset those costs, right? It might be the LA County, Orange County, or San Diego. It might not be the IE area, so consider a location before you consider that strategy. So again, I get back to the question, are you really ready to do these things on your own? Do you have the right property management to get you there? Premier property management is sustaining excellence over time, right? So, with that, I went very quickly, covered a lot of content. We are going to do a raffle. If anybody has a business card, wants to drop it in, we can do the raffle now, or we can hold off and do it later today, either way. We are going to open that up for questions. I could take questions here, or if you'd like to come up and get with me, Rose and I will be up here to answer any questions you might have. We can schedule private consults or property evaluations. Be happy to do that as well. And thank you so much for spending the last 20-30 minutes with me. I appreciate your time.